Well, folks, we're in the end game. It's your girl, Shawnee, here to comment on what's transpired since that god-awful national championship game that has ruined basketball. And it's basically because a bitter old man can't act like he's been here before and enjoy his 12th championship without leaving me alone. Like, it's turning into harassment now. Like, Gino's already sent trucks after me. He had me smiling in his merch on air, and like now my team's falling apart. And it's just like, bro, you've been here before. Like, why is beating me such a monumental thing? Like, grow up. But in all seriousness, I'm here to talk about the MiLaysia Fulwiley news. As you all know at this point, she's hit the transfer portal, and it's rocked the women's basketball world. And I want to get into a couple things because I feel like there's some nuance missing on both sides of the argument. So who better to provide it than somebody that is invested and also suffering as well? So first, like, I think we need to address what's actually happening when these conversations come up, right? You have two warring factions here. You have the faction that sees the the cries for playing MiLaysia as like a tacit critique on Dawn's coaching. And so they're going to dig their heels in because truthfully, if you say she's anything less than Jesus, like, you're wrong. And it's kind of an overcorrection to how she's been portrayed in the media, years past. So I understand it, though I don't agree with it. Like, that's where that's coming in. So, that's where we get this like incessant quoting of the Sports Illustrated piece, and like now to the point of like kind of downing MiLaysia, and we'll get into that later. And then you have the other faction that is committed to their downfall, and they want to see those fans unhappy. They want to see this team in the mud because they don't like those people. And of course I don't, that's not where I'm at either. So I'm on the side with, cock's always up, and we just want to see good hoops. And that's where we get to this MiLaysia thing. And I think to kind of talk about it, we got to start at the beginning, right? So I saw her play in high school. Watched her in the Chick-fil-A tournament, watched her at Keenan, saw the work that Dawn would have to do when she got to campus, and saw how much work would have to be done, and that she was a project. And as raw as she was still light years ahead of anybody in that building. Not just the floor, in the building. She is still an incredible talent, and I don't want what's going on to ever downplay that. So we get to the freshman year, right? And, she wins 6 Women of the Year. We win a championship. We go undefeated. She's, like, hooping, and I'm like, Dawn's a genius. Like, she fixed it. She fixed all the problems in one short off season. She fixed it. Like, we're good. Like, it's up. And then we get to sophomore year, and that's where things get a little dicey because you have, players kind of naturally have to fight off that sophomore slump. Don't know what it is, but that sophomore slump is brutal. We're playing without some key pieces that made things easier for everyone on the team. So it's a little more difficult. And then we're seeing how Dawn chooses to go about the development process, right? Where she's still coming off the bench, and we see that she has a shorter leash than others. And that's the part where we have to be nuanced about the conversation, because we can say, like, player A has flaws and coach A may not have handled things in the best way, right? And it's okay to like examine both sides and see how we feel about it and come to something in the middle versus saying like this player's trash and this coach, the game has moved past them, unless it's Gino. I'm gonna get back to that. But yeah, so we get to this point where we're kind of seeing it affect her, or at least I was. You can kind of see she's in her head at times and trying to make the right reads, because I think the biggest thing was she was having to kind of learn learn some more fundamental principles of the game, right? Because she's been on varsity since I believe like 7th grade. So she's just been able to just be a raw talent and rely on her instincts and rely on her, athletic ability and rely on just pure hooping without thinking. And so when you get to this level, now you have to combine all of that, which still, again, puts her light years ahead of a lot of people, and combine it with like, okay, let me make the right reads. Let me adjust to, the college game in a sense that I can't do certain things here that I could do here, or I can do them. I just can't do them in this particular moment. Like really reading the game and reacting, because again, her instincts and just everything that she brings to the game, how she plays, she dictates the tempo. She can control the game. She can change the flow of the game. Like she's an airbender, bros. Like she can come in and completely just change the tempo and the flow of the game. Just she's incredible. So, and I still stand by that. So now we're seeing that, she has to play defense. That's a must. That's key, right? And, she has to be locked in on that side of the ball. She has to understand her assignment. She has to get the feet moving. You know what I'm saying? So we're seeing stuff like that. To me, when the writing on the wall kind of came about was like after the Duke game, right? And I didn't want to make a thing of it because, again, you just don't want to make it a story until it needs to be. But like when I interviewed her, she seemed kind of down, like they had just lost. And they had just won and celebrated on the court, going back to the Final Four. So I thought that was kind of interesting in the sense that, you have this demeanor that you lost and you didn't. And, I saw some comments trying to get on me about asking her the benefits of coming off the bench. And that wasn't really to start anything. My thought process with that was she's going to silence the noise, really, because you have a lot of people asking like, why isn't she in? Why isn't she in? Why isn't she in? And, you have people, both sides, like everybody is just arguing about it. And I kind of wanted to give her a chance to like quiet some of that noise. Cause I thought she was just going to say something like, it allows me to see the game. It allows me to see what I need to do when I come in, and it allows me to like do my job easier. Like I was expecting something like that. Like I really thought I was going to get something that gave a tangible benefit. And then she kind of said like she didn't see one. So that's when I was like, oh, okay, true. Okay. Hey. And, she kind of just reiterated what she brings to the table just as a player, and again agreed on her assessment. But like I thought that point was interesting. And so then we get to the Final Four, and we have that Sports Illustrated article, and that's where I'm kind of like, that didn't sit well with me, because I felt like the author took some liberties in saying certain things. Like I only read bits and pieces of it, but I still just feel like it's weird to have that kind of piece come out before the Final Four, especially when she just came up huge in the Maryland game. She's been big at key moments throughout the season and really like propelled us to victory. I thought it was kind of a I understand the gist of it. You want to say that she's a masterpiece in the making, but it was just kind of like, hey, you want to see her, but she still kind of stinks. There was a harshness in the piece that didn't sit, like when it came to critiquing her, that's where it felt weird to me. And that's where it seemed a little excessive. And that's where I'm kind of like, we could have got this at a later date. Like, during the off season, you know what I'm saying? Like, here's why this didn't happen, or here's what, here's the thought process going into that. So I thought the timing of it plus the harshness, it just made it kind of weird. And then like you're in the Final Four and you got to just like accept that. And one of the things I did see in the piece that kind of stuck out to me was how she was talking about what goes on in practice versus what goes on in the game. And because like that matched up with what everyone was saying to me in the locker room, like when I asked them about MiLaysia after the Maryland game, like we see it all the time in practice. We see what she can do in practice. We see like the highlighters can't guard her. Like she's amazing in practice. So it's just kind of getting that carryover into the game. And I felt like there was a pressure that came with it where she's in her head a little bit. And I don't know if that was like self-inflicted or if that's like, in the back of her mind, she's like, oh, I'm getting ready to get pulled if I turn this ball over. If I take this shot and it doesn't go in, like somebody, I can hear the footsteps coming to the scorer's table or whatever. And that's where we can have a conversation like, who put that pressure and, caused her to get in her head? Because like that does kind of need to be that's where we go wrong. So it bubbled over in the national championship game, in my opinion. So where I'm watching other players not have the best game either, but they're still out on the court. Like MiLaysia's minutes were not great. I'm not gonna act like they were, and you could see she was kind of like out of it with those 2 turnovers and what have you. But like I'm also watching Joyce get the freedom to kind of work through it and try and play through it, and she finished 4 for 12. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of like, I don't fully understand why this was handled the way it was, and I don't fully agree with it, because like then when she does come in, you have her on, I believe it was Paige. Like she comes in and Raven goes out. So I already don't particularly care for that, because I'm like, if she's not handling the ball well, leave Raven in and have the two of them play off of each other. And then it's like she comes in and defensively has Paige, and I'm like, if we're struggling on defense, like, or she's, still trying to get her rhythm or whatever, like, don't put her on the most prone to go off player in the tournament right now. Like that to me is just not putting her in a good position. And so she hits the shot, gets that runner to go, and then you can see the confidence come back in her eyes, right? So where now she's still on Paige, but like she gets that steal, and it's like we're off and running. So like that was a good moment, but it's just like it lends itself a discussion of like what actually happened there. And we can talk about whether or not she was used correctly, because she did come in like way later than she typically does. Like the first quarter was like what, 3 minutes left? And that's, I don't know, at that point the team's already in a hole, the energy is already off. Like it's a weird situation. But I just want there to be nuance when we discuss her transferring, and how it may not have just worked out. The relationship may have had flaws on both sides from both parties, but she's still an amazing player. I'm not gonna act like she's not. Dawn's still an amazing coach. I'm not gonna act like she's not. It's just sometimes it just don't work out. And so I wish her the best. I'm still gonna be locked in. I'm still gonna be watching. Still gonna be a fan. But in terms of like what's next for the Gamecocks, Cock's always up. You get Tanaya Latson. We'll see how that's used, because there's again going to be some holes at the guard position with players going to the draft. There's going to be some needs with other players going to the draft. So we're going to see how this works out. I think overall we'll be fine. Get a couple more pieces out the portal. We do need a big. Raven is working as the player GM. There's got to be an award for that, because she's certainly earned it. So we'll just see how everything goes. But I think both parties are going to be fine. It's just, please don't go to LSU. That's really all I ask. Like, or UConn. Like, please don't go to my ops. That's really my plea. Just don't go to my ops. I can't. This year has already been trying enough. I've had to watch the Liberty compete for another title. Thank goodness they didn't win. I've had to watch UConn win in my face. I've had to watch this. Like, just I need relief because, again, I've done nothing to deserve this. Like, what do you mean? So, we'll see how everything goes, but for certain, we will be here to discuss it as it goes. So make sure you like, subscribe, get your home field merch, rep your team, rep wherever Malaysia's going. I might, if the gears fly and it's not my ops, I might have to get some. But yeah, just stay tuned and stay locked in, and we'll be back with more pontificating.